would just brainstorm and just collaborate on all these different ideas. And that like really started off like, you know, getting to know more people in the creative space.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Pushing the Pen. I'm so excited for today's episode because I'm sitting here with none other than Joie, aka the Golden Nug, who is a multifaceted content creator, beauty creator, and all-around creative. So I'm super excited for today's conversation. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
I'm all like,
it's been a long time coming.
Yes. Yeah. It really has. So let's just jump right into it. Mm-hmm. You look amazing.
Thank you, so do you.
Thank you.
I'm like the eyeshadow. I haven't stopped staring at your eyes.
You know what it is? I finally got my hands on the Urban Decay Space Cowboy. I finally got my hands on that.
Shoot.
I'm late. I'm really late.
No, I'm surprised you got it before it, they discontinue things so fast.
I know.
I'm like, geez, as soon as I recommend something to somebody, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, go to eBay. I'm like, geez.
I don't think I could trust things off eBay.
Yeah,
even Amazon. And I learned
at
that the hard way with
cosmetic things. Yeah, no.
I learned it the hard way.
Yeah.
Speaking of cosmetic things, I really want to know how you got introduced to makeup, how you started. I'm very, very curious.
So I was introduced to makeup through my mom.
Okay.
I give her all the credit, to be honest. She got me, she noticed my interest in makeup when, one, I would just watch her do her face all the time, and she was very experimental, like with colors and things of that nature. And I remember asking her, I was like, well, can I get some eyeshadow? I think we had gone to like Sephora for the first time. I was like, can I please get some eyeshadow? She was like, if it's nude, then yeah. Like, if it's brown, then sure.
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, clear mascara.
If it's true to tone.
You know? But I was really young. So,
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense looking back. Like, I was like, I had to be like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But then I was the really artistic kid. I talk about this all the time, but I used to be really into drawing portraits. Like, that was my thing. I think I might get back into it soon.
Come on.
But that kind of like transferred over to makeup once I was like old enough to actually experiment with it.
Yeah.
So my mom got me Fine Beauty by Sam Fine, who's like one of my icons in the industry. I still have that book to this day. It's just hanging up in my like studio area.
Yes.
And then it was a Tyra Banks book too. I forgot what it was called. It was blue, and she was on the cover smiling. I've wanted to recreate that picture ever since. But those two taught me how to do makeup.
Okay.
Like I learned from those books.
Wow.
And then I just experimented off of there.
So did you continue to do, like, when did you start doing makeup for other people?
So I didn't start transferring over to like clientele professionally until 2016.
Okay.
So that was that was in college. But I would do people's makeup. Yeah, it was. 2016 was the start of everyone's like creative pursuits. Yeah. I did do people's makeup like during cheer in high school and things of that nature. And they're like, well, tell me, can you do my brows? Can you do my shadow for the game and stuff like that? And then just picked up from there.
Yeah.
I cheered in college too, at Bowie. And then, so like game day makeup, when I say all my makeup would be used up, because they're like, yeah, we need the gold glitter and blah, blah, blah. And we know that she has it with the red lip. And then they'd be like, well, can you apply it for me? And then it just went on from there. And then my first client was actually one of my RAs in my dorm. And like, she's like the sweetest person ever. And so that was like the best experience. And then just started from there.
Yeah. So looking back from like your first client to today, how do you feel about like that first look you did to where you've evolved?
I really wish I would have taken pictures. I think I did. I just can't find it. Probably somewhere in like Snapchat, to be honest.
Right. Everybody.
No, seriously. I think it's in my Snapchat memories. If I could ever get back into it, I will definitely try to look for it and save it. But I do have a lot of pictures from that time period because I used to test out looks on my roommate and my best friend and make them walk around campus.
Period. Promotion.
So yeah, it was great. From then to now, it's drastic change, definitely. Because then I was very experimental in the sense of like I was doing everything because I didn't really know my niche yet. Like I didn't really know like my specific style and like what I actually was like, you know, would be known for and stuff like that. So honing in on like the soft glam style now, like, which is again, hats off to Sam Fine because that's where I started at. Like that's like back to like the pure basics. Like that is the foundation for me. So I always say once you hone in on like, I wouldn't say basic because there's nothing basic about it, but like the
foundational
skills and the fundamentals. Oh, like that's everything.
Yeah.
So whenever I find myself like needing to be re-inspired or anything of that nature, like I go back to that book. Like that always gets me right back on track for me.
I love that because it's something about like the simpler things.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to start off like doing, you know, editorial or like going for the big stuff. We can just, you know, ease into it. And there's like a beauty in that and observing that evolution.
Exactly.
I love. So I'm curious to know, like with your Instagram handle, is that was that inspired by like makeup artistry, or where did that tag come from?
So the Golden Nug, I love this story. So in college, again, I cheered, and so I was known for my hair. My hair was the same color as my skin back then, and then like it was long and it was big. So like, you know, once the humidity hits it, it turns to like a lion's mane. So people started calling me Golden. And I was like, oh, this is cute. This is a really cute nickname, you know. Specifically, my friend John, he was on football, so he would call me Golden. And then I went through some stuff, went through some heat damage during cheer, and I cut all my hair off.
That'll do it.
Chopped it, and yeah, that was going into winter break 2016, and then going into 2017 is when I actually like dyed it like a platinum blonde.
Okay.
And then I had like a nugget shaped head. And so we were like, oh, Nug. Hey, Nug.
I'm cracking up.
And then my sister, I like go to her for everything, but especially like for at names. And so, because she made my at name before that, which was like J Cashy. So I was like, I need a new, it's time. It's a new era. She was like, what about put it together like Golden Nug? Like, I was like, oh.
You wanted something.
You wanted something with that one. And then it really turned into something. Because 2017 really is when I like truly like made a name for myself.
Yeah.
Especially in that era. Like that started it for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so
I love that because it's also very like it's different. It stands out.
I will say I have gotten some like really snood comments about it, talking about like, where did you get that like Golden Nug? Like that sounds like a dancer name. Like, well, I'm like, well, maybe it is.
Right.
Like that'd be
and what
great.
about it though?
What about it? Be a great dancer name actually. But yeah, no, that really set the tone.
Wow. Okay, so we've kind of touched on where you started. You mentioned like you went to Bowie State, and what'd you major in?
So I was a business major.
Okay.
It didn't last long.
Okay. Oh, did you switch?
No, I left.
Okay.
So halfway into my sophomore year, I got really depressed, and like I was starting to meet a lot more people who were in the creative space and things of that nature, and they're like, "Why are you here? Like, why are you in school?" Like, because whenever I would have conversations with them, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. Like going into college, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to be a makeup artist. I just didn't know how I would go about it. Right. So that's why I did the business route, and I was like, okay, maybe I can learn the business side of
fundamentals.
it. You know, shoot, didn't even get that far. And I really wasn't like an academic person. Like, I'm smart, but it did not intrigue me like at all. Had a great time though. But yeah, I got really depressed. It got to the point where I was just like, I went down a deep dark hole. And I had to muster up the strength to tell my dad, because my dad's like the biggest academic person. And so I didn't know how he was going to react to me like wanting to leave. So it took me a week. And then I eventually recorded a video, because it was the only way I could do it. And I sent it to him. And he replied immediately after. Like, my heart was racing. I could feel it now. My heart was racing. And
he replied in a text or a call?
Like in a text. Okay. And then he called me.
Okay.
He was like, can you talk to me real quick? I was like, okay. And he was like, it's fine. Like, it's totally fine. Wow. He's like, I thank you for like feeling like you can come to me and talk to me about this. Like, we'll figure it out. And I think what really kind of eased it a little bit is that I already knew what I wanted to do. So it was just a matter of making that happen.
You literally had a plan and needed the platform.
Exactly. Like, and I gave myself the platform, which is crazy.
I love. So so was it once you left and made that decision, you kind of felt like a weight lifted? How did you pull yourself out of that depression and that like time in your life?
I want to say immediately after I had that conversation with my dad, I felt great.
You know what it is? It's like dreams deferred make the heart sick.
Yes.
And understanding how you're supposed to get there, I feel like there's this innate feeling like you can feel when you're not on purpose with what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, and I realized once I started leaning into that more too, and like the intuitive side of it, when I say because I have generalized anxiety disorder, so like GAD is that's a different ballpark. But my anxiety started to relieve tremendously once I started listening to that. Like once I started listening to my discomfort, I'm like, okay, I know something. I got to switch something up. Like, I have to make some sort of change and things of that nature. And then feeling comfortable to actually take ownership of my own life and actually take control of like myself. Like I will say for the first time ever in my life, once I left college, I felt like I actually had control. And so that was like a big thing. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it is too with anxiety. It's like when we're like in this whirlwind and we don't have anything to grasp onto, it just makes it very challenging. Yeah. And I think too, what's good for everybody else is not necessarily what's good for us. And the fact that you, at a very young age, because being a sophomore, you're still like very young. Yeah. I don't even think you're like 20 yet.
We thought we were adults, but no.
College is like its own little like bubble where like you think you bossed up and you ain't even scratched the surface. But it took a lot of courage. Yeah. So, you know, congrats. And I hope you like sat in that or like reflect on that and are like, because, you know, we'll get into it, but like what you've built and are building is like a testament to knowing what you wanted and kind of like going after it. So I'm actually so happy for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, don't get me teary-eyed.
I know, I'm actually already emotional, so that's my problem.
Good thing I didn't wear lashes.
So I kind of want to talk about kind of balancing friendship. So it's very interesting too, since you decided to leave school and then kind of pursue an endeavor that there's no blueprint for. Nobody had, you know, the criteria to really guide you through it, I'm sure, immediately around you once you decided to kind of switch gears. Yeah. So talk to me about how you navigated like your close circle, your friendships, your family, and then maybe not understanding what you were trying to do. Was that challenging?
I would say it was hit or miss. So a lot of my core like support system and like village during that time, especially when I first started out, they were actually very supportive in the sense of like, shoot, even letting them like, they were my test dummies, like practice on them and stuff like that before I really like full force into everything, especially my mom. Yeah. My mom and my best friends are everything with that. But you know, there's those points since it's from scratch. Yeah. People don't really understand it. It's like you're learning it too. So then there comes those like naysayers and like the doubters and things like, well, is this really like the right route? And
or
you know,
just
they
like,
don't know what they're talking about
again?
really. Exactly.
Like, don't piss me off.
And they don't really know what they're talking about at all. So it's like it's just adding more like fear and like it's just a lot. There were a lot of projections, still are to this day. Yeah. A lot of negative projections that I don't think a lot of people around me realized that they were doing. Yeah. Like, it was a lot of projected fears and insecurities. And I'm like, oh, you're kind of like, this is kind of a mirror, too, in a sense. I'm like, is this how you feel about what you're doing as well? Like, you know, it brought out also a lot of audacity in the sense of people feeling like, I guess, comfortable in a way to say or speak on certain things. And it's like, would you say this to anyone else? Like, you know, but I feel like that comes with the territory of being creative in general. Yeah. A lot of people feel like they can say or do certain types of things. Yeah. And it's like, well, unless you're in this space, like, you really just don't know, really. But I guess that's what this platform is.
Yeah. Too. And it coming from people who were, like, closest to you, did you find yourself in a space where you kind of had to, like, forgive them and not necessarily, like...
Yeah, I had to learn quickly how to take things with a grain of salt. Yeah, and I always like speak on like duality and things. Like multiple things can be true at once.
Absolutely. You can be a hater and
you know,
be a hater.
Yeah, and then also being able to purely see what place these people are coming from.
Yeah.
And like what standpoint in their lives that they might be in, to like, is this a projection or is this like honest and true, and like basically how should I take this?
Yeah.
With a grain of salt.
My mom always says like, take the meat, leave the bone. So it's like, if they have a point somewhere in what they're saying, like I'll take that and I'll consider it and put that to the side.
Yeah.
If they don't, they don't.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
take the meat and leave the bones.
Period. I'm cracking up. So I want to talk about something that you submitted for recently. Which was this past January, you submitted for the Hooray Media / Walmart Black and Unlimited Creators Program. Yay! And and in your video submission, you asked your community like how your content has impacted them. So I'm gonna read off just a few things of what was said, because I was in those comments like, this is beautiful. So one person said, you constantly remind me that art and creativity have no limits. The concepts you create challenge me to think outside the box and find an intersection between who I am at my most authentic self and what I want my brand to convey. I said, you lead by example by truly going after what you want. Your ability to allow your curiosity to create opportunities for yourself rather than that be a barrier to what you want is truly inspiring, and your authenticity is just the cherry on top. And just many more comments about your authenticity, your confidence, your transparency, and just the overall quality of the content that you put out. Were you not sobbing at those comments?
No, I was, because it was unexpected.
Yeah.
It was like, it was really unexpected, because I honestly didn't, putting it out there, I had a really busy day that day, and I just got home and I was like, okay, let me record this real quick, because I know the deadline's coming up soon, and I'm like, let me go to sleep. So I edited it real quick, and I just threw it up.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought it was going to be one of those videos like people just ignore.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
yeah,
do I really have interest in this or whatever?
Yeah.
But it was definitely not the case. Like, a lot of people left amazing comments.
Yeah.
And not just on Instagram, on TikTok too. And I was like, wait a minute. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And it's not like I forced anyone to say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't even send it out. I don't even think I reshared it to my story until the next day. So yeah, people were leaving paragraphs. I said, whoa.
Yeah.
You guys actually see me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely reassuring. It was a reminder that like, I'm here. We talked about this before too. Like making sure that you're showing up in this space because you're a part of other people's stories too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you just don't know.
Yeah.
So
I love to make it a point when I see somebody that I admire, be it a celebrity, nano influencer, micro influencer, whoever, like I will walk up to you, give you your flowers. I'll go on about my day. Like, but I just think it's so important because like life happens for everyone, and you don't know where they're at in their walk or journey, because you know we know 60 seconds or a photo is just that we're not seeing the sum or whole or something. But I think too, it was just such a testament to the community that you've built.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
It kind of reminded me that I actually have a community. I said,
because sometimes
sometimes it really feels like you're wading in the water, or it's like, well, are people actually on the receiving end of this? Like, are people actually listening and actually like accepting this? Please stop, because as soon as you cry, I'm going to too.
I'm like the worst. Okay.
Hold your head down so the tears drop.
Oh no, I don't want them to. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go to the next question. Okay, so you said, in that very video, you mentioned not being afraid to be perceived, or still being afraid but pushing past that point. Then you went on to say, like, in your live look series, you fused your love for music with getting ready and just sharing that whole process and celebrating your favorite artists. So essentially still giving them their flowers in that way.
Yeah.
And another series titled Makeup I Do, you have kind of forged your own path within that, creating a really amazing set of like opportunities for yourself. And that particular series was birthed out of your desire to like challenge yourself and be consistent. And I think there's something I think there's something really beautiful about the fact that you were doing something for yourself and it led to other opportunities. You started with an idea and you actioned that, and it created and aided to your overall dream and purpose. So I want to just kind of talk about some of the opportunities that came from that and like your inspiration behind like how you even come up with those series ideas.
Yeah, so it really, all of my series now I think about it have really been birthed out of like me just wanting to level up or challenge myself. So Makeup I Do was my first series I ever did, really. And yeah, that one was like, oh shoot, I think we were just starting to get out of like the pandemic, like lockdown situation. And I was just starting to take clients again, like slowly. I was like, oh, I really need to like, I need some models in here. Like I really need to do something, but something fun. And so one night I was up with my mom. I think we were watching Insecure. Yeah. And I was like, I would love to do that face on you. Like I would love to like test out my own version of that look, but on you. We were either watching Insecure or was The Photograph, actually. It was one of the two. I'm not sure The Photograph is out yet. But my mom has similar features to Issa Rae. So I was like, oh, this would be perfect. Like, this is great. And so we just did it right then and there. Yeah. I just tested out the look on her. And it came out like really, really pretty. And I was like, oh, I should try this into a series, you know? And I was like, okay, Makeup I Do on, you know? And it started with Issa Rae's. And then I did a 10-part series for that. Well, at least for the first part. And then, yeah, it really, like you said, it really just stemmed from me wanting to put myself out there and, like, get creative again and, like, challenge myself. Because, like, if I'm ever put in these spaces, like, these are my trial runs. So, yeah, and then doing it based off of and being inspired by people who I already like love and admire. Yeah. So
who else did you do? Like what opportunity did that lead to?
Okay, yeah. So so I did Issa Rae, I did a Victoria Monet one. This also helped me like reconnect with a lot of friends and like people I always wanted to work with anyways, like in the creative space. I think I did Jasmine Sullivan, which she saw that one. I did a Justine Skye one, Caliuch's, Kalani, and then the last one was JoJo. And so I knew when I was doing that JoJo one, I was like, I have to get this out before she comes into town because I'm going to her concert. And she just started touring again. And I was like, she's been like, that's been my girl since 3rd grade.
Come on.
I'm like, yeah. And so I did her demo look on my friend Isabella. Or it's Isabel, yes. And I just threw it up. And I already knew JoJo already followed me on Twitter. Period. So I was like, we connected.
I was
like, she'll let me see it. Like, this would be great. You know? I hope she keeps it on like it. You know? And so she did. She was like, oh, girl. She was like, finally, like, we can connect on Instagram, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, no, let's do this. I said, oh. Huh?
Not the call is coming.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, let's do this. She was like, so, and then she DM'd me, and then we just started talking about, like, logistics and stuff like that. Yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, wait. I was like, do you need a hairstylist, too? Because I was like, I got people now. Like, I got people who I can bring in that I know. Yeah. I was like, I can throw the alley-oop, too, because I have great quality people who I work with, and this would be a great opportunity for them as well. Yeah. So I brought in my friend Ari to do her hair, because she didn't need a hairstylist as well. Cause I think she was doing everything by herself for glam. And she did tell me how, like, it took a big weight off of her shoulders, like, during the few shows that we did for her. Because we did...
Oh, you did multiple.
Yeah. So we did the Fillmore show, which was the one I was already going to. And then my best friend assisted me on that, too. And then she was like, y'all free in 2 days? I was like, yeah. She was like, we're going to Philly.
Y'all said, you're coming with me.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. So I let my production team know. I was like, y'all, I can't be on set for this because I'm going on tour. Yeah. So they're like, oh, go. Yeah. They're like, be free. Yeah. So we went to the Philly show, and then she was like, y'all want to do the New York show too? And we're like, yeah.
Take me with you.
Do. So we did the New York show as well, and that was the last show we did. It was just amazing. Yeah. That was just like a really, that's an experience I cherish. Yeah. I think I'm going to finally scrapbook it because I have a lot of photos and stuff.
Was it like surreal? Was your hand shaking? Like, I'm trying to figure this out.
Okay, so as we were packing, Ari came to my house. We literally dumped all of our stuff, like all of our kits, on the floor, and then we just started repacking. We're like, okay, we need this. She went to Michael's that was down the street from my house, and she was like, I just got all this stuff.
Yeah.
She was like, we're just gonna experiment. I was like, okay, cool.
It.
And me and her, we were on the phone the night before. We were prepping like look ideas and things of that nature, just kind of sort of based off of what she may bring or what she may have. And we came prepared with like 3 different look ideas, and just went from there. I feel like once we actually got inside and I actually set up, I was like so comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like now we're here.
Yeah. Because also you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So
and I'm doing it around people who already support me. So like that was like, it was great. And then they also randomly had puppies like in the room next door. And so like we all did like a debriefing, like a hope puppies.
I'm cracking up.
It was really
like
cute.
Animals.
Oh
yeah, I'm not a dog person. I would have been freaked out.
I'm not doing the puppies.
As a matter of fact, no, thank you.
The room next door.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned was collaboration and community.
Yeah.
And you've collaborated, partnered, and worked with so many local creatives, artists, and I kind of want to touch on that because I know a lot of people are in a place where they're really trying to navigate how to collaborate, and I think it's like a twofold thing where you want to meet people at their worth, but sometimes you're just starting out, and so you might need somebody who just buys into your vision, and is willing to, you know, kind of put in like a little bit of like sweat equity with you as you're growing and developing. So kind of tell me about how you've like navigated those partnerships and collaborations and built those relationships to last.
Yeah, so when I first started out my makeup artistry journey to like 2016, 2017, I built a team. It was me, it was Jacob Webster, y'all know him as JPW, and it was Kira Dior. And so Kira did hair, Jacob did photos, and creative direction, and then I did makeup. And so we were just brainstorming, just collaborating on all these different ideas. And that like really started off like, you know, getting to know more people in the creative space, because whether it be models that we brought in or getting hired for clients to do like these creative concepts for their brands and things of that nature, like that really starts to like really branch out. And I feel like I started to align with people who I genuinely liked and wanted to keep working with, and I still have like lasting relationships from like that era too. And like same thing with like within college, y'all don't know how many creatives are in this freaking area and space.
It's insane.
Like the people who I came up with at Bowie, like 2016 starting our creative stuff, like Mikael Celesti, he's y'all, I think
I went to high school.
Really? Yeah. So literally when I picked up a makeup brush, he picked up his camera.
I love it.
It was like this, and so me and him would collab all the time. And that was when he went by like E-Optics. And so we was like Golden Optics type things.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, and he introduced me to my first like studio space and studio home, which was Studio 12 DC. Love them dearly. And like they got like the connections just started to sprout. Like the minute I would meet a new person, and then making sure I authentically like showed up as myself, it led to like another relationship, and it's just like sprouted a web from there.
Do you feel like in terms of like showing up authentically, did you ever kind of position yourself to serve others and not just serve yourself? With an opportunity, like, were you open to just saying, like, okay, you need this, like, let me, you know, be that hand
Oh, definitely. All the time. I like to, there was a point in time where, like, one of my main goals was, like, to be, like, a liaison. Because I was like, you have all these different connections and relationships and stuff like that. Like, pass this to the next person, too. Like, help the next person. Because I think I truly understood and saw how much, like, impact just speaking someone's name into a room could really bring for people. So that was like huge for me. Also, like, I'm a people pleaser, so there's that too. Like I would just love, but innately I just love doing things for people. Like it's just, I don't know, just like the empathetic side of me. Just So
how do you balance that in terms of like not being taken advantage of?
Again, taking things with a grain of salt. Also asking for discernment and like really listening to my intuition. Now, granted, sometimes like you just things happen. But taking things for what they are and at face value too. And then making sure, again, when I show up as my genuine, authentic self, it kind of inspires people to do the same.
Yeah.
So you kind of like reflect that mirror, and
like you're setting the tone.
Yeah. Exactly. And I don't think people realize how much not control, but how much impact they actually have with like how they show up into a space, their energy and things of that nature. Like you can again set the tone for like something big. Like show up on set with a great attitude and great spirit. People could have showed up on set. Yeah, people are going through Lord knows what before then. But if you show up in good spirits and with light and stuff like that,
it'll be returned. Yeah.
Exactly. It'll be reflected. So it's nice.
I love that. I want to talk about another opportunity or like two different opportunities I saw. Well, really, you actually have so many. But I want to talk about, so you've done makeup for Giselle Bryant of Real Housewives of Potomac.
Yeah, that's my girl.
So, you guys keep in touch?
Yeah.
I know that's right.
No, again, this goes into building genuine relationships with people. So it's funny, all of like, connections just come from connection. So like, I guess being in alignment with where I was at.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, how I got in contact with her was one of our models from one of our like shoots in like 2017, Gabby. She was her assistant at the time. And she was like, yeah, my client, she was like, my boss, she needs a few makeup artists for like this convention she's working or whatever. And so just let me know if you're available. I was like, sure, like I'm down.
I feel like, was the convention in like the DMV area?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I was there.
It was a Ubiquitous one. We did the Ubiquitous. And
this was for her beauty brand that she had at the
time. Yeah, this was Every Hue Beauty. And so I still have my t-shirt from that day. It's funny.
Memento.
Exactly. But then I didn't realize who it was actually for until like the morning of, about to head there. Because I think Gabby had said something like, yeah, Miss Giselle, like blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh. And I looked into the brand. I was like, what's the brand name? And she was like, Every Hue. I was like, looked into the brand. I was like, oh. I was like, that's for Giselle Bryant. Great. Awesome. So went there. Very smooth sailing. They gave us a t-shirt. She just kind of like prepped us. She also had like two other business partners too. One was like a huge esthetician, and then another one was, I think she was a pro makeup artist. But like they really were in on like the business side and like the chemics and things of that nature. So they like all prepped us and stuff like that. And she was just really nice. She was like, I've been trying to tell Gabby that I want you to do my makeup, like and stuff like that. She was like, we need to connect. We need to connect. And at that point, I was huge in my imposter syndrome bag. Ooh. Like, I was like, okay. Oh,
voice shaking.
Great. Had a great time.
Yeah.
And so after then, I didn't end up doing her makeup until like months later. Because it was always I don't know how I'm going to be able to get there. That was when like travel like was really starting to like affect me heavy and not driving. I was like, I have to figure out a ride, blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, girl. Like, and then finally she like gave me no choice. She was like, no, like, I need you for this. Thanks.
Yeah.
I said, okay, great. I'm coming.
I love that.
So it finally like, I think it was like the third try, honestly. Third time's charm. And so I went over there. I think she had another event or something. I did her face. I remember it was like a pink look. It was like a soft pink mixed with like a neutral, soft glam type of look or whatever. I still have the pictures. And we just went on from there. And then I started connecting with, I worked another event, and that was when I met her daughters. And so I made a connection with them too. Oh, nice. They will grill you, and that's why I loved. I was like, I know that's right. Like, y'all must be. I know that's right. So
I'm cracking up.
Yeah, and ever since, I love them.
I love that. So you don't have to answer this question, but I'm curious. So Giselle gets a lot of flack for sometimes her looks. Was there ever a time where you did her makeup and maybe that was being like commented on, and did you like feel hurt by it, or like did you take any?
So that was when I was still on Twitter. Y'all know Twitter is like
ruthless. They really are.
Twitter is my favorite. Anyway, so surprisingly, no. Okay, I never got any bad comments on my work. I actually got great comments on my work.
Okay, good.
Yeah, which was very like, I will say I held my breath a lot because I know how ruthless people can be, especially in that space. So there would be point in times where I would check her comments when she would post like my looks. I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure like, I'm like, because I'm the type of person, I'm like, is there anything I can work on? Like, But no, I never got any negative comments when it came to my work.
It wouldn't have been constructive anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, it's usually not.
Yeah.
So.
I hope you don't check comments anymore, do you?
No, not really.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Not unless they're my own.
Right.
Even then, it's like it depends on how much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so who are some of your faves in the beauty industry? I'm curious.
Eek. Okay, so I have to start off with Jackie Aina.
Period.
That's my girl. She honestly was one of the first YouTubers I started watching when I was on YouTube. And I've stuck with her throughout the years. So like, yeah, she knows how much I love her. That's my girl.
Yeah.
When it comes to like pro artists, I will say Danessa Myricks because
first of all, her products.
Love her dearly. She's one of the most innovative
I'm telling
like people, period. Yeah, her products are just insane. They're insane. And she also reminds me of my godmom. So, like, I think that's really why I love her so much. Like, they have the exact same energy, same accent. Like, I'm just, love her so much. I would say Sam Fine. You know, he is still huge in the industry.
Yeah.
He's still doing his thing. Especially, like, with Queen Latifah and, like, Vanessa Williams and things of that nature. I'd also say Nikki Posley. He's actually, like, one of the pioneers of soft glam. And I feel like he doesn't really get as much exposure as he should. But he's amazing.
Yeah.
Rennie Vasquez, he's actually from the area and he works with Auntie Pat all the time. He's like amazing. Love him. And the thing about all these people, they all have really good, genuine energy.
Yeah.
Like they're the type of people, if you DM them for a question or
they'll
just
respond.
DM them, or just to show love, like they'll show love back.
Yeah.
And then Auntie Pat, Pat McGrath, man, she's amazing.
Her products. Yeah.
She's insane.
I love it. Those are honestly like a really good list of people.
Yeah.
Like solid. That's how I know you're solid. Period. So far, like it seems like you've had to bet on yourself a lot in your journey. So I'm curious to know, you kind of spoke on imposter syndrome, but like how has like having to take leaps of faith and bet on yourself truly impacted like your confidence and like it kind of just like evolving and growing? Like I'm sure like sometimes you'll get nervous still with opportunities, but like how do you walk in and kind of just like own the space now?
I feel like once you start doing things and you do them more often, you get used to them, right? So there is a time, again, challenging myself and like trying to actively push past my fears. I feel like I didn't start really getting to that bag until I went back to therapy. Because I'd done therapy when I was younger and stuff like that, but like doing it as an adult is totally different.
Yeah.
And I found a great therapist, and like she kind of gave me like that nudge to like, girl, no one's gonna make it happen until you make it happen, you know?
Yeah.
So really putting in that mindset that like things will happen unless I do it.
Yeah.
And again, like stepping into that like control role,
Yeah.
in a sense, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And yeah, the more I practice like doing things and stepping out and putting myself out there, again, the more comfortable I got. Like, I don't know if you guys remember Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And the whole Clubhouse era too. It was a good time until it wasn't.
Right, no, literally. But I got off there with a quickness.
Yeah,
like
same. But me and my friend Yamaya Mason, shout out to her. We made these chat rooms where basically like we would talk about like the industry.
Yeah.
And like give people advice on how to like get out there and things of that nature. And that really helped me with like my public speaking. Because COVID did a number on my speech.
Yeah.
I honestly think I'm low-key dyslexic. I don't like it did a number.
That's reading though.
It can affect your speech too.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I learned that when I was looking into it because I was like, what's going on with me?
Oh my gosh.
I have to get a panel. I don't know. Anyway. But like that really helped with my speech. So and like being comfortable like just speaking to people who are strangers and things of that nature and putting myself back out there more. So like between that and then again my series, and that got me more comfortable like being in front of the camera more. Also like Sephora Squad, and like I was kind of like forced to like really get in my content creator bag. Yeah. So it's like
which you had jumped all the way in for that.
Yeah.
That was good.
I did. That was full force and full throttle. Because there was a point where that was all I had. Yeah. So just again, practice makes. I wouldn't even say perfect, but like practice
permanent. That's what I was told.
Yes.
Permanent.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. at a very young age. They were like, practice makes permanent. So
ooh,
do what you will.
I'm gonna have to write that down.
Do what you will with that.
That's
like,
noted.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Exactly.
Okay. So I want to kind of talk about a little bit of what you've kind of been up to recently. So over the past year, we've noticed that you've been more on like production sets and kind of working a part of the crew for like TV and film things, music videos. So I kind of want to know, like, was there a learning curve or any challenges you faced like transitioning? I kind of feel like with like the route that you took, it might have been like a bit seamless.
Yeah, I kind of like eased into it.
Yeah.
My first production I ever worked on, that was that 2021? Yeah, that was 2021, and it was for a TV show. And it's funny, I prayed for it, like, and it came immediately. So I was on a road trip visiting my yaya because she's been sick off and on for like years now. And it was her birthday, and so during that time period, like on the way back, it was like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
On the way back in the car, I was like, I really need a miracle. And so I started off praying for her, and then I started praying for myself.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was just speaking out into the window, into my higher ups, and I was like, y'all, listen. I was like, I need this, whatever it is. And then I started getting really specific, and I was like, I would love to branch out more into like this specific space and things of that nature, and then I really started to like visualize it. And then it was funny. I checked my phone after I was done, and I was on Twitter, and I saw my friend Amber Rain. And she was like, yeah, we're searching for a makeup artist in the area for this production, blah, blah, blah. And so a couple people sent it to me first. And then I already followed Amber, so I DM'd her. She was like, girl, I'm about to DM you anyways.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, so filming starts today. Will you be available by so-and-so time? I was like, I'm on my way back into town, but like I actually will be back by then. And so literally I told my mom, I was like, Mom, and my sister was in the car, and I was like, y'all, all right, we got to drop off. We got to blah, 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 blah. So I immediately went home. I packed up my kit, and they took me there.
Wow.
And then, like, the rest is history, really. So that's how I got into the production space. So I literally, like, I manifested it and fell into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you feel any, since you've been in that space, did you deal with any imposter syndrome of like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. There were some days. Well, luckily, though, the set that I was working on, shout out to Chris Farmer. He was our director. He made everyone feel so comfortable. And like he really set the tone for how things should actually be on set. And so I started out with like the best set experience. But there were some days I was like, like I may need some help, or like there's some things like that I definitely need to like broaden on and learn more about and things of that nature. I will say I built my kit like a lot more after that. So yeah, in a sense, I would say, but it wasn't anything that I was really intimidated by. It was more so like, I always say like I'm life student, so I actually like learning new things when they intrigue me and when I'm interested in them.
It has to be on brand.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how it was for me. It was, I mean, there are times here and there, but I feel like I'm so comfortable in myself now, and I've learned who I am as a person to where like, I'm cool. Yeah.
Do you want to be a part of the union? Like so, to branch out into more?
I go back and forth about the union because there was a time where like that was like my main goal, especially because benefits. As a creative, that's important.
Protection.
Especially when you get towards our age, it's like, okay, I need insurance. I need protection on these sets and things of that nature. And then there's times where, again, the strikes started to happen and things of that nature. And it's like, oh, well, this is not the best time to join union then. And then learning more about it and learning that there are different unions depending on like where you're at. So it's a lot that goes into it. It's still a thought in my mind. It's not at the forefront like it was before, but it is something that like I'm still interested in. Because I'm like, more opportunities come through union. They definitely do. But I also feel like there's such a big rise in the indie space where it's like, well, is this really needed?
And so, I think too, there was a point in time when I was into like very into makeup, doing clients and all of that stuff. And I took a class for TV and film.
Mm-hmm.
My mind was blown.
Mm-hmm.
It was so blown. I did not go back for the second day of the class because I was so like overwhelmed with all the information.
A lot.
And I was like, union, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, because for me, I was using makeup artistry as a segue into another part of the industry. And so I was just like, I don't know if it makes sense. Did you feel
like it brought too much like it was like really like structured and like, okay, it's set in stone type of feel?
I just felt like it was one of those things where, because there's criteria to become union, and I was like, okay, that takes a lot of time, and is that taking away from my main goal?
Yeah.
And what I believe is like a true part of my purpose and my walk. And ultimately for me, it was like, yes. So it's like, this is a great skill that I've acquired over time, but right now that's not the direction that I need to go to.
Yeah.
So I can whip it out, need be, but I don't think I need to go fully into that to get where I need to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's to that point of like knowing what you want to do and knowing what's for you. But I know a lot of people who have taken that journey and, have, done everything, gotten the hours, and done like the in-person stuff to, become union. I know people who are union, and it depends on what you want out of life and your journey. And there's nothing, wrong with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like a bunch of options.
So I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, But I just remember, like, how I felt, and I was like, I'm literally, like...
The more you learn, it's just like,
sometimes
do I really want this?
I was like, oh my goodness, like...
Now, the hours, granted, once you actually are put onto a space, and it's like, oh, I can bust these hours out, actually.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I actually think I've reached the minimum amount. But
come on, period.
Yeah, but now I'm in a space where I'm like, do I even want it?
Yeah, but that's too, like, you've done what you needed to do while doing what you enjoy.
Yeah.
To where getting the hours didn't feel like a job. It didn't feel like a task. It didn't feel like a chore, and like you are still provided the choice and the autonomy to say, like, when I'm ready, it's there. And I think that's like the beauty in it too.
That's
like
true.
Being able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing about being a creative too is like not everybody is provided a choice. Not everybody has that opportunity. People work 2-3 jobs, on top of trying to pursue entrepreneurship or their creative endeavor, and life itself is very taxing in that way. And so just being provided a choice can be liberating and free as a creative and as an individual too.
Definitely.
It's
fitting today.
I'm literally cracking up. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to talk about trends, the way the beauty industry is evolving, and kind of like, are you like a on trend girly, or you kind of set the trend? Like, what would you say?
I see the trends. I think some are very fun to partake in. So like, but again, duality. So I tend to do my own thing majority of the time. But there are definitely some trends I'm like, oh yeah, let me take part. Let me eat that. Like, I'm so sad. I kind of sort of like dropped the ball with the recent Pat McGrath like baby doll, porcelain doll trend, because like I have the airbrush machine now, and I could have went to Target and got like the stuff for it, but I just had so much going on at that point. I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, if I want to do it, I can.
Yeah, it was cute, but I feel like you did miss nothing.
Yeah,
it was a cute.
People have been eating with it though, was a with cute some editorial
look.
shoots. Like, I just saw a recent shoot, and it was like glass skin. I forgot who shot it, and it was nice.
I love a good glass skin. Yeah, like, and I love how like for the shows, how like the like key makeup artists and everything, like they are so innovative and
truly, like, I'm like, how do your minds even create that?
Yeah. Even all the way down to like Fenty shows, like the Savage Fenty shows, and like where they like,
I love when they did the flowers,
like, because that takes creativity.
Exactly.
And I love how makeup, any product could be used for anything. To me, I always say like makeup has no rules. It's seeing how these artists really step into their artistry to innovate, from a simple look or a simple face and say like, how can we come outside the box with that? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about on the topic of trends. I want to talk about, so we know about TikTok and it's pretty much getting ready to peace out, be gone. I'm kind of curious to know, you know, we've seen kind of like the fast-paced rise of these trends, right? Like something can happen Monday, and if you are not on it by Tuesday, it's died down by Thursday. Like you'd have missed your window. So what are your thoughts on TikTok? Kind of, let's say it ends up being gone. What do you think would be like the impact or the implication of it no longer, or us no longer being able to have access to it as it relates to trends?
I honestly feel like something will pop up immediately after. Like, I feel like we've gotten so much access to so much at this point. I don't think us as a people are gonna let that slide. Like, it's just. But also too, I heard like with the band and stuff, they're gonna be kind of sort of treating it like Flappy Bird. Like how people like if you did. Do you remember the game Flappy Bird?
Yeah,
it was like in high school.
Yeah, but that was banned.
Like, weird. But it was like in the sense of like if you still had the app, like you still had access to it. But like I think it was like restricted on like updates.
Okay.
And then like they made it like really hard for people to like re-download it if you didn't have it anymore.
Okay.
So I think they're supposed to be treating it like that.
Cracking up. They did that with Flappy Bird.
Yes.
That was a
and I
good
kept
game.
Flappy Bird for a long time, and then I finally was like, okay, I don't need this anymore.
I'm literally cracking up.
Yeah. So that was a whole
so
thing.
funny.
So I heard it's supposed to be like treated
I know
like
people
that
have talked about like VPNs, and I just don't. I'm not going to do too much.
I don't really want to do all that work. But then again, too, TikTok is so fun.
I do feel like we may see more originality.
Absolutely.
And like that is what I'm interested in seeing.
Absolutely.
Like, because I think with TikTok there's so many voices, there's so much noise telling people who they are, aren't, what they shouldn't do.
I feel like it's gotten us back to authenticity too. Like the videos that you see thrive on TikTok are people being their authentic selves. You know, so yeah.
Because people can replicate or do trends all the time, but
like it gets tired.
You know, like
absolutely.
When you step outside the box,
exactly.
So that's really what I'm kind of looking forward to seeing, and seeing how like, you know, that translates and how people kind of come back to Instagram a little bit more and what they end up doing there. And in that space, and then of course also how it may impact brands and companies and how they've been able to kind of like maneuver and utilize.
TikTok Shop has put Miss Amazon. Listen,
I refuse to buy anything from TikTok Shop.
I've bought a couple things.
I just ordered something from Fashion Nova for the first time in my life.
Be careful, child.
I just found out too that it causes cancer. So
yeah,
I'm like,
they had to put like a whole thing on it now. I was like, there's
so
that. So at least y'all being honest.
I'm crying.
But yeah, no, I feel like
I'm returning this though.
Yeah, please do.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's gonna wear off in like a week anyways. Fashion clothing does not last.
I'm crying. Okay. Let's go back to 2020. That was the year that you were a Sephora Squad member.
Yes.
But that's also a year where like a lot of things in the world like were at a standstill. So how do you, like, in that moment, because we talk about like you took a leap of faith, you know, kind of took a risk to say like, I know what I want to do, so I have to kind of like pave that path for myself. And then when you're hit with kind of like this stop motion, how did that impact one, like your intuition and like you just knowing that you did the right thing, and like how did you kind of navigate that time, that year?
So around that time I was only working as a makeup artist. So when that completely like went away, I was like, okay, well I still gotta eat. Like I'm like, oh shoot, okay. But then it really gave me the chance to go full throttle in content creation, because I was always doing it already, but like not to that extent. And so at first I wasn't even gonna like try out for it because imposter syndrome hit. And I was like, is it worth it? Like, am I even gonna get it? Like, you know, things of that nature. But my friend Chidi, she was a part of the Sephora Squad the year before in 2019. And that was the first year I think they allowed actual Sephora employees to be a part of Sephora Squad too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
as
she
they
did it,
should.
right?
Wow.
That should have been like
Like,
that in the
don't play
beginning.
with them.
Exactly. But she had an amazing time. And so I watched her whole journey. So I was able to ask her like some questions about it and things of that nature. And she was able to tell me what she could tell me.
Yeah.
She was like, no, you need to do it. Like, this is perfect for you. So like, fine. So it literally got like down to like the last days you were able to submit. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right.
Always wait until the last.
No, for real. So I did it and I ended up getting accepted. I was like, oh. Like I made it to the next round because they do like, basically you have to get like referrals or like have people do submissions on your behalf and things of that nature. And that like really helps you. And a lot of people were like speaking on my behalf. I was like, this is great, y'all.
Showing up again.
But I really approached it in the aspect of like, whatever happens.
Yeah.
And I'll be okay. Yeah. And then I ended up getting in. And I was like, oh, this is great. Yeah. Like, you know, because not only is it an amazing opportunity, but also it helped me survive in 2020. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
It was great. Yeah.
It's like you've been able to get what you need in that moment and it served its purpose for that season and time period.
And I'm glad you put it that way too. Yeah. Because it took me a while to like what's next. Yeah. For me. Type of
yeah, because that's how I was going to basically even say like kind of like leaning into being present because I know for me like even with anxiety a lot of it is future you know oriented and geared, so it's like what's next, what am I doing, like what's going on, and sometimes you miss out on the fact that what's happening right now is serving a purpose and you don't know how you being present will assist in the next thing. And so sometimes it's about just putting your best foot forward and what you're standing in right now in that prayer or in that, you know, manifestation in that moment.
Yeah, it's huge being actually a part of your own journey because a lot of us like dissociate and then it's like, oh, I missed the whole thing. Like I guess I can look back, like, you know, like truly like that happened. Yeah, that was like, I feel like that was a pivotal moment also for the tools I was able to build there. I was able to transfer over to the production space later on, like recently. Like with all the campaigns we had to do and like actually learning how to do a structured campaign and how things should be and creating content for that campaign and like the scheduling and all that different types of things. Like I was able to transfer over to like the social media management space with my production company. So like that was like a whole thing too. And now again, looking back and actually remembering things, it's like, oh, well, I guess I really did need this, like, you know, in different ways. Yeah. It's still to this day is like feeding me. Like,
I always say like it all gets used too. Yeah. Like every single thing, an experience from 2015 will get used today. Yeah. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And I think sometimes we can kind of feel like what we're in the midst of is not serving us or it can't possibly be helpful to where we're at. But in even the most odd ways, it does. It gives us something, whether that's a lesson, whether that is actually giving us something to apply, like it gives us something. And so I've had to shift my mindset around to be able to kind of be open and accepting and being able to really like walk into opportunities feeling like I am equipped and prepared. Yeah. Even when sometimes there's little imposters and doubt floating around. It's like you're not listening. Yeah. So let's play a little game, a quick round of this or that. I feel like it's only right. So we're going to start real easy. There's only one right answer, I feel like, to this. Okay. So this or that, brows before or after? Like
before after
in the process.
base?
Yeah, before after base.
Oh, after. Period. And ever since I went there,
I can't go back.
I cannot go back. That's so funny. I just asked that. I just answered that question on someone's post this morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. It just...
Because why would I try to apply the biggest part of, like, the whole thing, work around one little small section?
Yeah. And there's, like, a softness that comes with doing it after. Yeah. It eats every time.
And it's, like, even if you're not, like, super messy with your foundation stuff, but, like, this has, like, a little tint of, like, a little powder on your brows or something like that, then do it. It's, like, a softness. Yeah. Yeah. Like, you're... Like a nice blur.
Yeah. It's a filter. Yeah. Period. Okay. Dewy or matte?
I'm a matte girly. Okay. But I'm like a soft matte girly. Okay. So, but that's for personally. Yeah. for my clients, I think I'm soft matte for my clients too. Yeah. Because dewy can only go but so far sometimes, especially since a lot of my clients are like, they're deeper tones. Yeah. So they tend to have like reflective and oilier skin. So I'm like, we can't go too dewy. Yeah. Like I have to like pat you down. I love the dewy. Like, dewy looks amazing though. Do me up. It looks supple. Yeah. Like I can bounce something off of you.
Vanessa Myrick has a product that's called Duet. Yeah. And like you put that on after, even if you're matte, and it gives you okay. Yeah. I already know this, but soft glam or like full glam?
Soft glam, girly.
Brow pomade or pencil?
Pencil.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, whose glam do you prefer? Jody Woods or Alabama Barker?
Who do you see?
I'm crying. Jody
is okay. That's her little sister, and then Alabama is whatchamacallit's daughter, right? Travis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen Jody? Her glam?
No shade. I don't know these kids.
I'm really cracking up. Okay, Jordan Woods or Jody?
Jordan, because she's my age. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like we can relate more. Yeah. Jody's a child.
The way she eats her makeup looks up.
I know. No.
Like,
gives.
Every time.
Absolutely.
I just watched her do a tutorial, and I was like, oh, this
it eats.
My sister texted me. She said she looks like a Bratz doll.
She does.
Like, she really does. She like, real life. Like, put her in a movie.
Does she know the baby Bratz? And how she really looks like a baby Bratz to me.
I forgot all about those.
Yeah. I used to have like 3 of them. Yeah.
Okay. No, this isn't or this or that, but I'm curious. What was your favorite Anastasia Beverly Hills palette? And why is it Renaissance?
Oh, you might have clocked that. Actually, it was Jackie Ina's.
Period, as it should be. I still have that palette.
I have all of them still. They probably should make their way out soon. But yeah, Jackie's
it's down. I have this one shade in there, like it's so good. Yeah. I'm obsessed. It's so good.
She has like this duochrome, like green.
Yes,
like yes. Like a silverish gray.
Yes. Oh. You put that on the lid, it eats. I love that. You my type of makeup girly, like you get it.
You might know.
Okay. Now we're moving on to Passing the Pen. This is a segment where a viewer or listener, they write in a question they may have, and I'm going to ask it to you just to see if you could give them some advice.
Oh, I like this.
Yes. Okay. So I'm a multifaceted creator who is trying to hone in on my niche, but I'm struggling on knowing where to start. Should I hone in one area, or should I show up as my true self, showing every single like facet of my life and what I do?
I always say go the authentic route. Like, don't try to mold yourself into something that you see. Definitely go the route that like feels genuine to you, because you are your niche. Yeah. I feel like niche is such a, not touchy, but it's just such a topic because it's like, okay, it helps in certain aspects, but like, you don't want to box yourself into being like this certain type of thing if it doesn't naturally work for you. Yeah. You know, things, you'll see people being inspired by other people being their authentic selves. Yeah. And they see that as a niche. Yeah. And it's like, just show up as you. Yeah. That is always like the best thing. Now, of course, too, it comes with like, if you say for instance, you have your hands in this, maybe like pick a good 2 to 3 to focus on at a time to like at least not be like all over the place. Yeah. In a sense. But still pour into everything that you're like that you're interested in. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Say for instance, Jackie Ina, right?
Let's talk about this.
Like listen, because she started out as a pro artist, you know, who used to work at Mac and things of that nature, and then, you know, just showing off her skills on YouTube, right? Then dove into being a staple in the beauty community, giving advice of what you should do for your faces, bring more people on. Then she brought into her more lifestyle content too, still doing beauty but doing lifestyle as well. Now that she's in like the more lavish space, she has Lavishly Jackie, which is a huge lifestyle like brand that she's cultivated for herself. It's like she eased into each of her like things that she loves to do,
and has positioned herself as an expert.
Exactly.
In those things, right?
Exactly that. And then Forever Mood came out of that, right? And now she just announced her perfumes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and we knew through her lifestyle content that she loved perfumes. And like, she has that iconic wall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So,
and the way she would even describe and when she unboxed perfumes and fragrances.
I was like, I didn't even know that was an adjective.
When she talked about the notes, I'm like, girl, I just need to spray this stuff on.
Yeah.
Like,
and she goes in depth with that. And that made me broaden my own vocabulary with certain things too. So,
and it just makes you curious. She's allowed the audience to become curious about, okay, well, like, let me go into Sephora and smell that perfume. Let me check it out. Let me, purchase.
And it's like, oh, that's what she meant by that. I get it now. Like, she helps you put two and two together. Yeah. That's why I love her.
Yeah. And I think a key part of that example you just gave too was like, it doesn't need to be speedy.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't need to be fast.
Let your journey be a journey.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joie, for coming today. This was such a good conversation. I'm gonna get out.
This is everything.
I'm gonna get out. Sorry. This was such a good conversation.
And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Do you guys see how this looks?
I'm cracking up.
Like, this is great.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I want to give you an opportunity to tell the people what you have coming up, what they can find you, give them all the tea, all the details.
So right now you can watch my journey and see what I'm doing and things of that nature on Instagram and TikTok at the Golden Nug, no E in golden, and at the Golden Nug Pro on Instagram to see my pro page and my pro work, and that's more of like set life and things of that nature. And what's to come? I guess you just have to stay tuned.
Period. You guys know where you can keep up with me, so you can check out the latest episode of Pushing the Pen at Brooklyn Simone on YouTube, and you can keep up with us on Instagram at pushing.thepen, and then you can keep up with me at brooklyn.simone on Instagram as well. See you guys next time.